You don't know me, I don't know you,
Right.
other than the 10 minutes I saw you on stage.
Okay.
Whew, what do I talk about this morning? So much to share, so little time. So, 5 share pins. How many of y'all are burning out? How many of y'all know what that means? Y'all want to raise your hand for that? Okay, I see a couple of people. I actually got LASIK a couple of years ago because I wanted to be able to see the people in the back of the room, and also I wanted to date guys, and if they were staring at me, I couldn't see. It would be like this. I'm not going to bore y'all with a bunch of slides, but I speak in pictures. So, only 2 people in the room are burning out, and I will at least admit to it. Okay, how did I become a burnout expert right quick? Yeah, I was in the military. It was great. High achieving military officer, worked 80 hours a week, wanted to prove people wrong. How many of y'all like to prove people wrong? Okay, great. Okay, we're on to something.
So, I'm Joshua Taylor. I run a podcast called Wrench Turners Podcast.
It's called what?
Wrench Turners Podcast.
Okay.
So the last 3 years have been really focused, we're in the same kind of space, really focused on bringing attention to mental health and mechanics.
Okay.
Mechanics are the top 3 professions that commit suicide. So stress, anxiety, burnout, all the things that you alluded to or talked about in your talk this morning resonated very, very deeply with me.
Yes.
So also a couple of things. One, because anxiety and stress and so forth is so high, yes, we are top 3 professions that commit suicide. I am also an attempt myself.
Okay.
Burnout, anxiety led to that very early. I was 21.
Okay.
In this moment, you're speaking to a lot of people who are significantly older than 21. There is not too many people in this event right now that are 21 or younger. From what you understand in your business, knowing what you know about burnout, especially burnout for men, because you started to speak about a little bit about burnout in men and so on and so forth, what could you say to, or what piece of advice could you give to someone who is, say, in the automotive industry, especially in the shop, who's 25 or less, to help prevent themselves to getting to that point of burnout?
Okay. So, stage 1 burnout is just being ambitious. So most of us are burnout. What we don't know is that there are actually 12 stages of burnout. See, 12 stages of burnout. See, 12 stages of burnout. So the first thing is understanding that in these times that we're in, post 2020, everybody's burnout. So let's just lay the blanket down on that. Now, what do you do about it? Acknowledge it. Don't have so much shame around it. So people are so ashamed and embarrassed, like be going through something. Like women are supposed to have it all together. Men are supposed to be men. And so there are so many labels and shame and guilt around not feeling like we have it all together. So that's the first thing. Becoming aware of it's okay for me to be going through something. That's one. The second part is the habit that all foundational habits stand upon. As I talk about the 3 habits, meditate for 5 minutes 3 times a week. What we don't do is we don't give ourselves time to relax. We don't know if we have permission to relax. And we're living a high stress culture with anxiety that's normal now. We've normalized it. We're now with social media. So the young kids have social media. They grew up like being anxious. If we're talking to younger people, let me back up. Breathe for 5 minutes, take a break. But the biggest difference I think that would happen with kids, and I'm not calling 25 or younger kids because I'm fine, but I'm 49.
I think, to interrupt you for just a
go
second,
ahead.
25 and younger is a child.
Okay, great.
Your brain doesn't fully develop until you're 25.
Okay, great.
So if you don't develop until you're 25, you're still a kid under the 25. And I know for myself, under the age of 25, I was basically an overgrown toddler.
I was trying to be better about it, but the 25 and younger crowd are addicted to. It's not delayed gratification now. Everything is instant.
And yeah, I burned out with 3.5 years left to retire with full pension. I ran into a brick wall doing 120 miles an hour.
and they feel like they're behind. Because on YouTube, everybody's making $1 million. If you look online, everybody's rich, everybody's beautiful, everybody has the perfect body. It's not true. So it's a comparison of I don't have enough, I don't have anything, or I'm not this person, I don't have this person. So that's what's driving a lot of, I think, the anxiety that's going on in the younger people today.
And we're in automotive here, so you know you would not drive a car for 16 years at 120 miles an hour. We get our tires rotated, we get the oil change, we check the air filter, but we don't do the same for our bodies.
Is that Gen Z, right?
I think it's even further because my son's 11.
Okay.
He is the first year of Generation Alpha.
Those are Alpha, yeah.
And that transition from Gen X to Millennial to Gen Z to Gen Alpha, the stress is the same.
Yeah.
But the stress is different at the same time.
Yeah.
I think the challenge that is then presented to anybody that's under the age of 25 is understanding that Gen X and older, they had to do way, way, way more work for less money, even though it carried further, because we know the math, inflation is just completely out to lunch these days, and that children under the age of 25, the thought of owning a home right now is mind-boggling.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But conceptually, you think about what happened 100 years ago, what happened 80 years ago, what happened 50 years ago. What did you have to do every single day, day in, day out, to provide for your family? Whether you are man providing for family and you are a single income family, or you are dual income and you are both providing for the family. The amount of work that's involved there is substantial. And I don't think they grasp it because there are so many things that have made their life easier. The challenge that we, perhaps as parents, don't necessarily understand, and perhaps as children that they don't understand, is that the repercussions of the things that have made their lives easier have also made their lives more difficult.
Yes. Well, I think it's one, I made $3.80 an hour cutting grass. $3.80. Okay, so, and when I got a raise, it was $4.25 an hour. Like, young kids today are like, $4.25? No, I need $250,000 or $250,000 a year to survive.
Yeah.
Right? So it's the comparison piece. It has to be easy, and so there is no mindset of delayed gratification. How old are you?
I'm 41.
Okay, great. So we grew up in an era where it took 45 minutes to make a pot pie. You remember the pot pies, the banquet pot pies? My father would be so mad. He'd be like, but you can do that now in a minute. So if you don't get it right now, so there's this mindset of everything has to happen right now. Google will do what you want it to do. Everything has to be easy. And so life is difficult. And it becomes harder when you can't get it right now. And I think that's a lot of anxiety that's going on. And but then also seeing into the lives of other people. We didn't have access into what was going on in other people's houses. We didn't have access to the most beautiful people in the world who are lying through filters, by the way. We didn't have access into MTV Cribs wasn't out. So we weren't comparing our house to like somebody else's house. We weren't comparing our car to look at what we don't have. And so to have the mindset of, my life is over if I don't have these things before I'm 20.
Stage 2 of burnout is mental collapse. So when I mentally collapsed, I couldn't blame anybody once I burned out. And mental collapse is I could not talk for a year.
Or if I'm 20 and I'm looking at everybody who's rich, which is not necessarily true, and I'm here working as a mechanic, then my life sucks. As opposed to, no, I actually have a great life and it can be better, but let me now create the path to be better and not just try to go do it instant.
So what aspect of, say, finances and more specifically debt plays a role in that?
How did I, Christy Rutherford, burn out?
I think a lot of young people are getting into debt, getting things that they don't, it's not that they can't afford, but it's to be pleasing to other people. Like I look at some of these people who are getting married now, oh, don't even get me started on the gender reveal parties. They're like $5,000.
Yeah.
Or the birthday party for the kids that are like...
excessive.
It's excessive
what's that,
for the gram.
I'm trying to think, what's the Fight Club phrase? You're buying shit that you don't need for people you don't like.
Or you're buying stuff that you don't need to impress people who you don't know and don't like you and don't care anyway. Right?
And I started to read Forbes, and I'm not going to read Forbes for a long time. Forbes, McKinsey, Harvard Business Review, they always talk about how managers are responsible for the mental health and the psychological safety of their employees. And they're still saying it. And I'm like, but who's going to save the leaders?
So weddings are now $100,000, and the men are coming down the aisle, you know, dancing, and it's all for the gram, and it's not for the people that are in front of you. Mm-hmm. So the difference between the 25-year-olds and the 41-year-olds and the 49-year-olds, I'm still fine, is like they're more connected to people. They're connected to more people, but they're less connected to themselves. And more connected with people than they are to the people who love them. So we're disconnected from our families, but we're connected to people who we don't know, but we seek love and attention, and we're not getting it. So not only are we comparing our lives, not only are we seeking other things, we're also empty.
I gotcha.
Because what is love? Like, what is connection? What is nurturing?
Addiction, to be honest, because now you're getting into talking about how the attention of social media, the attention of praise from people around you, the attention from things that don't necessarily matter in the public space that provide dopamine, that gives you, there's my gratification, there's my gratification, instead of the people that you have built a life with, whether it's their parent, whether your parents, whether your spouses, whether your children, whatever, they're going to be with you for years and years and years. This person that gave you a like on social media for whatever, even if it's something awesome that you did, they gave you a like, you have no idea who they are. You don't know anything about their life. They don't know you or anything about their life. You posted something that made them laugh or made them cry or made whatever. Like, it doesn't matter.
Y'all know, they don't like leaders. So you cross this threshold of not being popular. You walk in a room, everybody's laughing, they start laughing. I'm like, well, I want to laugh too. What y'all talking about? They be like, nothing.
It doesn't matter.
But they didn't grow up with a compass point of it doesn't matter. Because to them, that's the only thing that matters.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? And if you understand that it's not real and it's created, but I'm glad we're having this conversation. Because if you don't know that, you think that this is normal. That is not normal, but it's become the new normal, and so many people are suffering. So many people are taking their lives. So many people are miserable. It's because we're not connecting with the people that are in front of us.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
We're connected with the people who are online, and we're dancing for likes. We're spending money for likes. We're buying cars that we can't afford for likes. We're buying shoes that we can't afford for likes. We're buying the iPhone that we can't for likes. But we're not filling ourselves with love. Just by human nature, we're meant to connect with other people. We're meant to seek love. We're meant to be loved. But we're seeking an addiction and a dopamine, and social media is designed for that. And it's superficial.
So to that point, we're talking about social media. We're talking about likes, dopamine, and so on and so forth. Right now, technicians on a fairly large scale in dealerships, and now it's starting to infiltrate into independents as well.
Okay.
Video MPIs are a thing.
Okay. What's this? Yeah.
So the multi-point inspection.
Okay.
So when you get when your technician sends you a video about like a walk-around inspection of your car.
Okay.
That is now an expectation to many. Not to all, but to many. And many also don't get paid for that inspection. Yeah. Not only do they not get paid for the inspection, they also don't get paid for the video. Some do, some don't.
Okay.
We're talking about social media, dopamine, and so on and so forth. If the technician is unsuccessful in upselling whatever work that they're talking about, whether it's upsell or whether it's maintenance or whatever, that then becomes rejection.
Yeah.
So even at highly converting service advisors and optimized processes and whatever, even if you're at 50% conversion, which is a gigantic number in the service department, let's say it's the average between 20 and 30%. That means 7 out of 10 are getting no on that video, which is basically social media. I've put me in a camera and given it to somebody else, and they've said no.
Yeah.
To the technicians out there that are doing that and dealing with that rejection, which will lead to burnout, will lead to stress, will lead to anxiety, which you talk about. What would you tell them to help manage that?
I think a part of to feel rejected is painful, but you're also taking it too personal because you don't know these people. Does that make sense? But because we're more connected with the people who are online and we're disconnected with ourselves, you take that hit as a personal hit when it's just a job. Not that your job should matter, but I think it's coming in tune with, okay, if you get 50%, do they feel like they succeed at 50 or do they feel like they failed at 50?
I think, well, think about it. At 50%, it's still every other answer is
It's
a no.
awesome.
And it's going to be, we as human beings,
Yeah.
especially as mechanics, we as human beings focus on the negative more than we focus on the positive.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
even though it's the glass half full, glass
Yeah.
half empty kind of mantra,
Yeah.
it's still half empty in that circumstance.
Well, that's why I asked the question, right? Because 50% in sales to get like 50% close rate is insanely high.
Yes.
So we're measuring against the wrong stick. And I think that for me, if I touch one person a day with the things that I do, I'm successful, right? And I don't know who they are. Sometimes they inbox me and sometimes they don't. But if I've done my best today and I've given my all today and I've served with heart today, then that's how I sleep at night. It's not as much as the conversion, which I like the conversion. I want the conversion because I like my money, but I also have to detach away from converting only for money and not for passion. And did I do my best? And can I do better? I think is the thing, right? Is can I seek feedback to be better at the converting and not taking it? Rejection is like, all right, well, if I was rejected and if I'm steady at 20%, what can I do better? So then you go seek feedback and don't take it personal. And don't take feedback as criticism. It's like, okay, well, if somebody's getting 30% or 40%, it's how can I be better? And then you go study other people who are better. I've studied other speakers. I'm $120,000, $140,000 a year in coaching because I'm always trying to study from the best to see how I can convert so I can serve. Mm-hmm. So I need to understand those things.
So one of the big things that I do, I've got 170 episodes.
Okay.
I've got like hundreds of clips. I post thousands of times.
Yeah.
So in order for me to grow, I have to constantly look at my own analytics.
Yeah, the data.
I have to look at my data. I have to look at my game tape.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I'm on camera.
Yeah.
So I get to see my game tape.
Yeah, yeah.
And it is painful. But at the same time, the reason why I'm now doing what I'm doing, and I wouldn't necessarily call myself successful.
Yeah.
But I'm more successful today in terms of viewership,
Yeah.
audience, connection, community than I was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So reviewing the game tape, doing it every day,
Yeah.
and getting better, and not taking criticisms
Yeah.
personally, looking at a professional way, and irrespective of what I'm looking at,
Yeah.
helps me me become better. To that point, what I also now have to manage, like you talk about,
Yeah.
I have to manage burnout.
Yeah.
Because I can't spend 7 hours looking at game tape. I can't spend 7 hours doing this one thing
And judging it badly.
and then judging it badly. So I appreciate that very much.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you very much for your time. Your conversation this morning was amazing.
I think one point I want to make before we close, when you just talked about the measuring part. I can't remember. It's been Dr. Benjamin Hardy wrote a book with Dan Sullivan called The Gap in the Game. Right? So
Not gap selling, gap
No,
in the game.
The Gap in the Game.
Okay.
The Gap in the Game, G-A-I-N.
Oh, gap in the gain.
The gap in the game. So typically what happens is if we have a goal that we want, which we're never done because goal setters always want to go here. When we measure where we want to be in success, if we're here, we're measuring the gap between where we want to be, so we never feel satisfied. We never celebrate our wins. We never feel good enough. We always know that there's more to do, but they encourage us to measure the gain. So instead of looking at where I want to go and I'm never going to get there, look at where I've been. Look back and be like, oh, okay, what have I learned? And then celebrate the gain. Like, I have done something. You have increased your conversions. You studied the data. You have increased your viewership. You have increased your subscribers. So we always want better. And it's easy for high achievers to always say, I don't have, I won't get, like, and for us, anytime we get this thing, we move the bar again. So we never feel successful. There's always another
It's so
level.
funny you say that because a couple hours ago, speaking with Glenn Lundy, him talking about gratitude and how he operates, especially first thing in the morning, with a mindset of gratitude.
Yeah.
I get to do this. I have worked hard and I get to do this.
Yes.
I get to spend time with my children. I get to spend time doing this with work.
Yeah.
I have gotten here because of my hard work.
Yeah.
Be thankful even of your own hard effort because
Always.
you got you there.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about burnout. It took me, really, I think it took 10 years to recover mentally. It took 4 years until I was able to function again. Because once I lost my mind, y'all, I was incapable of making more money. Once I burned out, I couldn't make money. So I ended up moving in with my brother in South Carolina. Y'all know I'm bougie. Did y'all know that? How many bougie people we got? I had to move in with my brother as a grown woman with an MBA who went to Georgetown, who was the 13th black woman to make commander in the Coast Guard's history. I'm highly decorated. I was at Katrina. I'm an American hero. Right? And I'm in my brother's house, eating cheese at snack mix, nutty bars, Little Caesar's pizza, and drinking Ciroc red berry with muscadine juice out of a mason jar.
Everything that has happened up to this point is your fault.
Yeah.
So you get to do this because you did that.
Yeah. Yep.
So awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Awesome. I appreciate you. How can people find women in automotive, women of color in automotive network with you? How can they find you? Let people know.
You can find WOCAN at wocan.org, which is with Ashley and Carrie Waz. I'm actually Christy Rutherford. I was a speaker today at the conference, and you can find me on LinkedIn and also on Instagram at Christy Rutherford, or you can go to christyrutherford.com.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And remember, folks, negative pushes, positive pulls, and always clean your toys before you put them away.